Mumbai, a city that never sleeps, bustled with its usual frenetic energy. Amidst the chaos of honking cars, street vendors calling out their wares, and the ceaseless rhythm of life, Constable Meera Desai stood out as an anomaly. In her crisp khaki uniform, she appeared as a figure of order in a world of disarray. Yet, behind the calm facade lay a heart that beat with a different kind of apprehension. Meera was in her late 20s, with a reserved demeanor that contrasted sharply with the vibrant city around her. She was of average height, with soft, almond-shaped eyes that reflected her introspective nature. Her hair, neatly tied back into a bun, and her posture, always slightly hunched, spoke of a woman who carried her burdens quietly. She had always been the kind of person who preferred the solace of books and the quietude of solitude over the chaotic buzz of social interactions. Life in Mumbai was a relentless torrent for Meera. Her small, modest apartment in a crowded neighborhood was her sanctuary from the ceaseless noise outside. Her days were filled with routine, early morning shifts at the police station, followed by the monotony of paperwork and routine patrols. The bustling streets of Mumbai, with their colors and chaos, were an overwhelming contrast to her inner world, a world she had come to accept, even if it didn't fully satisfy her. One particular morning, as Meera arrived at the police station for her shift, she sensed something unusual in the air. The normally lively station was abuzz with an unfamiliar tension. Officers moved swiftly, their faces etched with concentration. Meera's colleague, Inspector Rathod, a grizzled veteran with a no-nonsense attitude, called her into his office. "Constable Desai, take a seat," Rathod said, his voice gruff but not unkind. Meera settled into the chair, trying to read the expression on his face. Rathod handed her a manila folder. "We have a new assignment for you." Meera opened the folder to find a detailed dossier on a notorious drug ring operating in Mumbai. Her heart skipped a beat. The operation was not only complex but dangerous, an undercover assignment to infiltrate the drug ring and expose their operations. "This is an important mission," Rathod continued. "You've been chosen because of your attention to detail and discretion. We need someone who can blend in without raising suspicion." Meera's mind raced. Undercover work was a world apart from her usual duties. The thought of living a double life, deceiving people, and risking her safety was intimidating. She had always been a diligent officer, but her work had been more about maintaining order than engaging in high-stakes operations. "I'm not sure I'm the right person for this," Meera said hesitantly. "I've never done anything like this before." Rathod's gaze softened. "I understand your concerns, Meera. But this is a chance to make a real impact. Your quiet nature makes you ideal for this job. We need someone who can move through the shadows unnoticed." Despite Rathod's encouragement, Meera was overwhelmed by a wave of self-doubt. Her fear of the unknown and the potential dangers of the mission clouded her thoughts. She knew she was timid, not used to confronting her fears head-on. The idea of having to adopt a new identity, navigate the dangerous world of drug trafficking, and face threats she had only read about in reports was daunting. "I'll think about it," Meera replied, trying to steady her voice. As she left Rathod's office, Meera couldn't shake the anxiety that gripped her. The weight of the assignment pressed heavily on her shoulders. She found herself questioning her abilities and her resolve. The familiar surroundings of the police station, once a source of comfort, now seemed alien and imposing. Back in her small apartment, Meera sat by the window, looking out at the bustling city below. The lights of Mumbai shimmered like a constellation of possibilities, but for Meera, they seemed like distant stars, unreachable and intimidating. She was about to embark on a journey that would challenge everything she knew about herself. The prospect of change was both exhilarating and terrifying. With a deep breath, Meera resolved to face the challenge. She knew that stepping out of her comfort zone would be difficult, but she also recognized that it was an opportunity for growth. The journey ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, she felt a flicker of determination amidst her fear. As she prepared for the days to come, Meera understood that this assignment was not just about exposing a drug ring, it was also about uncovering the strength she had buried within herself. Meera Desai's transition from the mundane routine of a police constable to the thrilling and dangerous world of undercover work was like stepping into a different realm altogether. The initial days were a whirlwind of new experiences, as she adapted to her new role and navigated the treacherous waters of Mumbai's criminal underworld. To maintain her cover, Meera had been given a new identity, Arti Sharma, a small-time dealer with a reputation for discretion and reliability. Her new role required her to blend in seamlessly with the lower echelons of the drug ring while collecting intelligence on their operations. The transformation was not just physical but psychological, as she had to embrace the persona of someone who lived on the edge of legality. Her first encounter with the drug ring was both nerve-wracking and eye-opening. The meeting took place in a dimly lit, smoky bar on the outskirts of Mumbai, a known hub for shady dealings. Meera, dressed in a low-cut blouse and jeans, tried to embody Arti's persona. She felt a pang of discomfort as she entered the bar, where the air was thick with the scent of cheap cigarettes and whiskey. As she approached the bar, she was greeted by a rough-looking man with a scar across his cheek. His name was Rajesh, and he was one of the middlemen in the drug ring. Meera had been briefed about him. He was known for his brutal efficiency and no-nonsense attitude. Evening, Arti, Rajesh said, his eyes appraising her with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "You're the new girl." Meera nodded, trying to keep her voice steady. "Yes, I'm here to make a deal. I hear you're the person to talk to." Rajesh grunted and led her to a secluded corner of the bar. He scrutinized her closely, his gaze making Meera feel uneasy. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and every conversation was laced with coded language. Meera struggled to keep up with the rapid-fire exchange of terms and references she was unfamiliar with. "You're going to need to prove yourself if you want to be part of this circle," Rajesh said gruffly. "We don't deal with anyone who can't pull their weight." Meera's heart raced as she nodded in agreement. The stakes were high, and any mistake could blow her cover. The conversation was punctuated with veiled threats and unwritten rules of the underworld. Meera had to quickly adapt, learning to navigate the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and hidden agendas. Over the next few days, Meera immersed herself in the world of drug trafficking. She began attending low-level transactions, observing the way the ring operated. The more she interacted with the members, the more she understood the precarious balance of power and trust that governed their interactions. She learned that every move she made was under scrutiny, and any slip-up could reveal her true identity. Maintaining her cover was a constant struggle. She had to balance her role as Arti while keeping her true self hidden. The pressure was immense, and the fear of discovery loomed over her every move. Meera found herself in increasingly risky situations, forced to act with confidence she didn't truly feel. One of the most challenging aspects of her new role was adapting to the harsh realities of the drug ring. She had to master the art of deception, learning to manipulate situations to her advantage without raising suspicion. Her interactions with other members of the ring were fraught with tension, as she navigated their expectations and demands while trying to gather valuable information. Despite the challenges, Meera began to see glimpses of the power dynamics within the drug ring. She observed how alliances were formed and broken, how loyalty was bought and sold. Each encounter was a lesson in the rules of the game, a complex dance of trust, betrayal, and survival. As the days turned into weeks, Meera grew more adept at her role. She developed a keen sense of the drug ring's operations and began to build a network of contacts within the organization. Her confidence grew as she mastered the art of blending in, though the fear of discovery never entirely disappeared. The world of the drug ring was a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Meera's initial apprehension was replaced by a steely determination to see the mission through. The line between her true self and her undercover persona began to blur, as she found herself adapting to the demands of her role. In the midst of the chaos and danger, Meera discovered a strength she had not known she possessed. The challenges she faced forced her to confront her fears and push beyond her limits. She was no longer just a timid constable, she was Arti Sharma, a key player in a dangerous game where survival depended on her ability to adapt and overcome. As she continued her undercover work, Meera knew that the path ahead would be fraught with peril. But with each passing day, she became more resolute in her mission. The journey into the underworld was only beginning, and Meera was determined to navigate its treacherous depths with courage and resolve. Meera Desai's transformation into Arti Sharma had begun in earnest. The quiet constable was now thrust into the turbulent world of Mumbai's criminal underbelly, where her survival depended on embodying a bold, self-assured persona. The shift from her previous life to this new identity was jarring, and the internal conflict she experienced was as intense as the external challenges she faced. Adopting the persona of Arti Sharma required more than just a change in appearance, it demanded a shift in attitude and behavior. Meera spent hours in front of the mirror, experimenting with makeup and adjusting her clothes to fit the role of a street-smart, confident dealer. Her wardrobe now included flashy outfits and high heels, a far cry from her usual modest attire. The transformation was not just physical but psychological. Each day, as she donned her new identity, she had to force herself to walk and talk with the bravado she was trying to project. Initially, the process was fraught with difficulty. Meera felt like an imposter, her nerves frayed as she tried to maintain the facade of someone who thrived in the world of crime. She constantly grappled with the dissonance between her true self and the role she was playing. The internal conflict was exacerbated by moments of self-doubt and fear. Every interaction, every decision she made as Arti, felt like a tightrope walk. Despite the turmoil, there were glimmers of empowerment that began to emerge. As Meera navigated the dangerous world of crime, she found herself gaining confidence. The more she engaged with the drug ring's operations, the more she learned to assert herself. She started to command respect from the lower-level operatives and began to influence their interactions. The subtle power shifts and manipulations, though risky, allowed her to carve out a space for herself within the organization. One pivotal moment of empowerment came during a tense negotiation with a rival gang. Meera, as Artie, was tasked with mediating a deal that had the potential to escalate into violence. The rival gang members were suspicious and aggressive, but Meera managed to keep her composure. Using her newfound confidence, she negotiated a favorable agreement that not only cemented her position within the drug ring but also earned her the respect of both sides. The experience was a turning point, showing her that she could indeed wield power and influence. Navigating the criminal world proved to be as treacherous as Meera had anticipated. She encountered a myriad of challenges, from dealing with volatile personalities to managing the constant threat of betrayal. The drug ring's operations were complex, involving a web of illegal activities and shifting alliances. Meera had to constantly adapt, learning to read the signs of loyalty and deception. Her success in these tasks depended on her ability to blend in, gather intelligence, and make strategic decisions. Her days were filled with high-stakes interactions, from shady deals in back alleys to secret meetings in dimly lit warehouses. Meera found herself becoming more adept at maneuvering through these scenarios. She learned the nuances of street negotiations, the importance of keeping her cool under pressure, and the art of persuasion. Yet, the deeper she delved into the world of crime, the more she struggled with the ethical implications of her role. Each successful maneuver brought her a step closer to her goal, but also further entrenched her in the dangerous game she was playing. Meera's internal conflict grew as she grappled with the duality of her existence, her genuine self and the persona she had to adopt. Her interactions with the drug ring members also began to reveal the darker side of her own transformation. The persona of Artie Sharma had to be ruthless and manipulative, traits that were in stark contrast to Meera's true nature. The line between her undercover role and her real self became increasingly blurred, leading to moments of moral ambiguity. Meera found herself questioning the impact of her actions on her sense of identity and her principles. Despite these challenges, Meera's journey was marked by significant personal growth. Her newfound empowerment was not just about assuming control in a dangerous environment but also about discovering inner strength and resilience. The experience of living a double life, facing fears head-on, and overcoming obstacles in the criminal world reshaped her understanding of herself. As she continued to navigate the treacherous landscape of the drug ring, Meera remained focused on her mission. The stakes were high, and the risks were substantial, but her evolving sense of empowerment drove her forward. Each day in her new identity brought new lessons and challenges, pushing her closer to the realization of her own potential. In the midst of her internal conflict and external dangers, Meera Desai, now Artie Sharma, began to forge a new path. The journey was fraught with difficulty, but it was also a testament to her strength and determination. The road ahead was uncertain, but Meera was ready to face whatever came next, empowered by the transformation she was undergoing. As Meera Desai continued to navigate the treacherous world of the drug ring, she began to experience the complex interplay of power, trust, and influence. Her role as Artie Sharma was evolving, and with it came a deeper understanding of the seductive allure of power and control. Gaining the trust of the drug ring members was no small feat. Meera had to skillfully maneuver through a landscape fraught with suspicion and rivalry. She attended more high-stakes meetings and transactions, each time presenting herself as someone reliable and indispensable. Her growing familiarity with the operations allowed her to provide valuable insights and make key contributions, further solidifying her position within the organization. Her increasing involvement led to a growing confidence. The more she interacted with the Ring's members, the more she shed the nervousness that had initially plagued her. She learned to navigate conversations with ease, using her knowledge of the Ring's operations to impress and gain favor. Her assertiveness grew, and she began to command respect from those around her. The once timid constable was becoming a formidable presence in the world of crime. The allure of power and control began to reveal itself in subtle yet profound ways. Meera discovered that with each successful negotiation and strategic decision, she gained a greater sense of control over her environment. The power to influence outcomes, sway opinions, and manage relationships was intoxicating. The ability to manipulate situations to her advantage gave her a thrill she hadn't anticipated. This newfound control over her surroundings was a heady experience, one that made her question her previous notions of authority and influence. One evening, as Meera prepared for a particularly high-stakes meeting, she was struck by a realization of how deeply the world of crime had begun to affect her. She had become more adept at reading people and situations, her instincts sharper and more attuned to the dynamics of power. The thrill of outmaneuvering others and asserting dominance in conversations became an addictive high. The seductive nature of power was further compounded by the way it affected her personal interactions. Meera began to notice changes in the way she perceived and responded to people. The confidence she exuded as Arti Sharma had a magnetic quality, drawing the attention of those around her. The subtle shifts in power dynamics made her more aware of her own influence and the way it was perceived by others. One of the most striking manifestations of this transformation was in her interactions with Ravi, a senior member of the drug ring. Ravi was known for his charisma and commanding presence. As Meera navigated her role, she found herself drawn to him, not just for the strategic advantage he represented but also for the complex emotions that began to surface. Their interactions were charged with an undercurrent of tension. Ravi's authoritative demeanor contrasted sharply with Meera's growing sense of empowerment. There were moments when their conversations lingered longer than necessary, their exchanges filled with unspoken implications. Meera felt a pull she hadn't anticipated, a blend of admiration, desire, and fascination. The first glimpses of her dormant sexuality began to emerge in these encounters. The allure of Ravi's presence and the dynamic between them stirred feelings she had previously kept at bay. The confidence she gained from her role as Arti Sharma began to seep into her personal interactions, revealing a side of her that had long been dormant. The seductive power she wielded in her professional life started to influence her personal desires. As Meera grappled with these new feelings, she found herself torn between her role and her emerging desires. The seduction of power was not only about the control she exercised over her environment but also about the way it was reshaping her understanding of herself. The boundaries between her undercover persona and her true self became increasingly blurred. Navigating this newfound allure was both exhilarating and unsettling. Meera had to balance her growing confidence and power with the ethical implications of her actions. The world she was immersed in was a whirlwind of influence and attraction, and she struggled to maintain control over her emotions and desires. The intoxicating mix of power and desire created a complex web of emotions for Meera. Each interaction with Ravi and other members of the drug ring further entangled her in the seductive dynamics of her role. She was drawn into a vortex where power and control, personal ambition and emerging sexuality, all intertwined. As she continued her undercover work, Meera became increasingly aware of how the seduction of power was shaping her identity. The thrill of influence and the allure of new sensations were both empowering and disorienting. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, but Meera was determined to navigate the dangerous world of crime with a newfound understanding of the seductive forces at play. In the heart of Mumbai's criminal underworld, Meera Desai was no longer just a timid constable, she was Arti Sharma, a woman discovering the depths of her own power and the complexities of her desires. The journey into this seductive realm was transforming her in ways she had never imagined, and the allure of power promised both thrilling opportunities and daunting challenges. As Meera Desai, under the guise of Arti Sharma, continued to navigate the perilous world of the drug ring, she found herself increasingly immersed in activities that pushed her boundaries. The stakes were higher, and the risks she took to solidify her cover became more pronounced. Each step further into this dangerous world brought a mix of adrenaline and uncertainty. To solidify her place within the drug ring, Meera began taking greater risks. She participated in high-profile transactions, involving herself in deals that were crucial to the organization's operations. These activities required her to operate with a level of boldness and audacity she had never previously exhibited. She orchestrated transactions, managed disputes, and engaged in activities that tested her limits. One such risk involved a major drug shipment that was under threat from a rival gang. Meera's role was pivotal. She had to ensure the shipment's safe delivery while also acting as a liaison between the ring's leaders and their associates. The operation was fraught with danger, and the risk of exposure was significant. Meera had to navigate a complex web of alliances and threats, using every ounce of her newfound confidence and skill. The thrill of danger was both exhilarating and consuming. The high-stakes nature of her activities sent a rush of adrenaline through Meera, making her feel alive in a way she had never experienced before. The danger was a double-edged sword. It brought excitement and a sense of empowerment, but also a constant undercurrent of fear. Each close call and narrowly avoided confrontation heightened her senses and drew her deeper into the world she was now a part of. As Meera continued to operate under her new identity, she found herself grappling with conflicting emotions. The exhilaration of her undercover role was tempered by moments of self-doubt and moral conflict. She was increasingly aware of the distance growing between her true self and the persona she had adopted. The lines between Arti Sharma and Meera Desai were becoming blurred, and the emotional toll was beginning to weigh heavily on her. The thrill of crossing boundaries and taking risks was often accompanied by a deep sense of guilt and confusion. Meera struggled with the ethical implications of her actions and the impact they had on her sense of identity. Each risk she took was a step further from the person she used to be, and the internal conflict grew more intense. In the midst of this turmoil, Meera experienced moments of profound self-discovery. The risks she took and the dangers she faced forced her to confront aspects of herself she had never fully acknowledged. She began to realize the extent of her resilience and adaptability. The persona of Arti Sharma, while initially a facade, was revealing hidden facets of her character, strengths and desires she had previously suppressed. One particularly pivotal moment occurred during a confrontation with a rival gang member who threatened to expose her. In the heat of the moment, Meera acted with a level of decisiveness and resourcefulness that surprised even herself. Her ability to handle the situation with both cunning and courage revealed a depth of character she had not fully explored before. This incident marked a turning point in her journey, showcasing her capacity for bravery and strategic thinking. As she reflected on these experiences, Meera began to see her undercover role as more than just a mission. It was a crucible for personal growth. The risks she took and the dangers she faced were shaping her in ways she had never anticipated. She was discovering new dimensions of her personality, from her ability to handle high-pressure situations to her evolving understanding of power and influence. Yet, with each step further into the world of crime, Meera felt an increasing pull between her undercover identity and her true self. The excitement and empowerment she derived from her role as Arti Sharma were contrasted by the internal struggle to reconcile this persona with her genuine values and beliefs. The duality of her existence was both thrilling and disconcerting. As the chapter of her undercover operation unfolded, Meera was on a journey of self-discovery that was as profound as it was challenging. Crossing the line into a world of danger and deception had brought her face to face with her own capabilities and vulnerabilities. The process of solidifying her cover and taking risks had revealed strengths she never knew she possessed, but it also highlighted the internal conflicts she needed to resolve. In the dangerous world of the drug ring, Meera Desai was not just an undercover operative. She was a woman confronting her deepest fears and desires. The journey ahead promised further challenges, but with each risk she took and each boundary she crossed, she was uncovering a new understanding of herself and her place in this high-stakes game. The demands of living a double life were beginning to take a toll on Meera Desai. Balancing her duties as a constable with her role as Arti Sharma, the undercover operative, was a delicate and exhausting endeavor. The pressures of each role were increasingly conflicting, and the stress of maintaining this dual existence was becoming overwhelming. Meera's daily life as a constable involved routine patrols, administrative duties, and occasional investigations. Despite her commitment to these responsibilities, the allure of her undercover role often overshadowed her constabulary duties. The constant need to juggle these two worlds created a constant state of tension. She found herself rushing between police assignments and drug ring operations, always on edge, constantly wary of slipping up in either role. Her involvement in the drug ring deepened as she gained more trust and responsibility. Meera was no longer just a low-level dealer, she had become an integral part of the organization. Her role included managing larger transactions, coordinating with various factions, and even participating in decision-making processes. The deeper she got, the more she had to navigate complex power dynamics and alliances within the drug ring. Each new responsibility elevated her status but also increased the risk of exposure. The challenges of maintaining her real self became more pronounced as her undercover role demanded more from her. The lines between Arti Sharma and Meera Desai began to blur. The more she embodied her undercover persona, the more she struggled to separate it from her true identity. Her interactions with the drug ring members and the lifestyle she had to adopt began to seep into her personal life, leading to moments where she questioned her own authenticity. One particularly distressing incident occurred when Meera's behavior as Arti Sharma started affecting her interactions with her colleagues. Her ability to switch between her two identities became increasingly difficult. During a routine patrol, one of her colleagues, Inspector Singh, noticed a shift in her demeanor. "You seem off lately, Meera. Is everything okay?" he asked, concern etched on his face. Meera brushed off his concern with a forced smile. "I'm fine, just a bit of stress from the undercover work." Her attempt to deflect the inquiry was met with skepticism, but Singh's concern was genuine. The pressure of maintaining her cover while appearing normal in her constabulary role was starting to show. As the stakes grew higher in the drug ring, the tension in Meera's life intensified. The drug ring was involved in a major operation that had drawn the attention of rival gangs and law enforcement. The situation was fraught with danger, and Meera was in the middle of it all. Her growing influence within the organization made her a target, both for those outside the ring and for the members who might suspect her true identity. One evening, during a crucial deal, Meera was forced to make a split-second decision that had far-reaching consequences. The deal was interrupted by a rival gang, and Meera had to act quickly to protect her position and the safety of those involved. The confrontation was violent and chaotic, and Meera found herself in the thick of the action. Her ability to stay calm and assertive in such a high-pressure situation was a testament to her growing confidence, but it also highlighted the ever-present danger she faced. The increasing tension was not limited to the world of crime. At home, Meera struggled with her relationships and personal life. Her secretive behavior and frequent absences strained her relationships with family and friends. The guilt of deceiving those she cared about weighed heavily on her, adding another layer of complexity to her already challenging situation. The growing stakes in her undercover operation and the constant pressure of balancing two conflicting lives took a toll on Meera's mental and emotional well-being. She found herself grappling with feelings of isolation and anxiety. The thrill of her role as Arti Sharma was tempered by the constant fear of exposure and the moral dilemmas she faced. In moments of solitude, Meera reflected on the duality of her existence. The drug ring had become a dangerous but captivating world, and her role within it had become more entrenched. The power and influence she wielded as Arti Sharma were intoxicating, but they also came with a heavy price. Maintaining her real self amidst the chaos was becoming increasingly challenging. As the tension and stakes continued to escalate, Meera was forced to confront the reality of her situation. Her double life was taking a toll on her sense of self and her ability to function effectively in both roles. The constant balancing act between her duties as a constable and her undercover persona was reaching a breaking point. The underworld of Mumbai's drug trade was fraught with peril and intrigue, but nothing had prepared Meera Desai for the complex web of emotions she would experience as she became increasingly entangled with a key drug lord, Vikram Rao. As Arti Sharma, Meera found herself in a position that brought her dangerously close to Vikram, and the relationship that developed between them was both thrilling and tumultuous. Vikram Rao was a powerful figure in the drug ring, known for his ruthless efficiency and commanding presence. His charisma and authority made him a central figure in the organization, and his interactions with Meera were marked by a mixture of admiration and calculation. Their first few meetings were purely professional, centered around high-stakes deals and strategic discussions. However, There was an undeniable tension that simmered beneath the surface of their interactions. Meera's role required her to engage closely with Vikram, and as they spent more time together, their relationship began to evolve. What started as a professional rapport soon grew into something more complicated. Vikram's intense gaze and assertive demeanor had an unsettling effect on Meera, stirring emotions she had previously kept at bay. Their conversations became laced with flirtatious undertones, and the boundaries between professional and personal began to blur. The development of their relationship was marked by a series of charged encounters. Vikram's attention towards Meera was both flattering and disorienting. He praised her skills and intelligence, often lingering in ways that hinted at a deeper interest. Meera, for her part, found herself drawn to his confidence and power, the attraction intensified by the danger that surrounded their interactions. As the relationship between Meera and Vikram deepened, she began to explore aspects of her own sexuality that had previously been dormant. The thrill of being desired by someone so influential and dangerous awakened a part of her that she had never fully acknowledged. The physical attraction she felt towards Vikram was powerful and consuming, and it challenged her understanding of her own desires and boundaries. In private moments, their encounters grew increasingly intimate. The charged atmosphere between them often led to intense and passionate exchanges. Meera found herself captivated by Vikram's touch, his words, and his presence. The exploration of her sexuality in this context was both exhilarating and unsettling. The danger of their interactions added a layer of intensity that made every touch and glance feel more potent. However, the excitement of this dangerous attraction was accompanied by profound inner turmoil. Meera's emotions were conflicted. The attraction she felt for Vikram was undeniable, but it was entangled with the reality of her undercover mission. She struggled with feelings of guilt and confusion, knowing that her personal involvement with Vikram could jeopardize her mission and her safety. The duality of her feelings created a storm of internal conflict. On one hand, there was the undeniable thrill of her relationship with Vikram, the excitement, the passion, and the power dynamics at play. On the other hand, there was the looming reality of her role as a constable and the risk of her undercover identity being compromised. The danger of their relationship was ever present, and Meera knew that any misstep could have catastrophic consequences. In moments of solitude, Meera wrestled with her emotions. The allure of Vikram's presence was powerful, and the temptation to surrender to her desires was strong. Yet, the weight of her responsibilities and the fear of the potential fallout kept her grounded. She was acutely aware of the precarious balance she had to maintain between her personal feelings and her professional obligations. The excitement of her attraction to Vikram was tempered by the constant anxiety of living a double life. Meera's internal struggle was a reflection of the broader conflict she faced in her mission, torn between her role as Arti Sharma and her true self as Meera Desai. The relationship with Vikram was both a source of empowerment and a dangerous distraction, and Meera had to navigate this complex terrain with care. As Meera Desai delved deeper into her undercover role as Arti Sharma, she began to experience a profound shift in her self-awareness and capabilities. The challenges and dangers of her dual existence had forged a new understanding of her own potential, and she found herself increasingly empowered in ways she had never imagined. The first sign of Meera's growing awareness of her potential came during a critical meeting with Vikram Rao and other key figures in the drug ring. The discussion was centered around a crucial operation that could significantly impact the organization's power structure. Meera, who had previously been a passive participant, took an active role in the conversation. She contributed strategic insights and proposed solutions with a confidence that surprised even her. Her ideas were well received, and she began to realize the extent of her influence within the group. Taking control of situations became a defining aspect of Meera's evolution. Her newfound confidence allowed her to assert herself in ways she had never done before. She began to actively manage operations, negotiate deals, and resolve conflicts with a level of authority that commanded respect. Her ability to handle high-pressure situations and make decisive choices highlighted her growing power and leadership within the drug ring. One notable instance of this newfound control occurred during a tense negotiation with a rival gang. The rival gang's leader, a formidable figure in his own right, was known for his aggressive tactics and unyielding demands. Meera, leveraging her deepening understanding of the drug ring's dynamics and her own persuasive abilities, managed to broker a deal that favored her organization. Her strategic maneuvering and eloquent arguments not only secured a favorable outcome but also solidified her position as a key player in the ring's operations. Mastering manipulation and persuasion became integral to Meera's role. Her ability to read people, influence their decisions, and sway opinions was a testament to her growing expertise. She used these skills to navigate complex power dynamics, forge alliances, and undermine rivals. The art of manipulation, which had once been a tool for survival, had become a powerful asset in her hands. Meera's interactions with the drug ring members were marked by a sophisticated understanding of human behavior and motivation. The shift in Meera's perception of herself was both exhilarating and disconcerting. The confidence and power she wielded as Arti Sharma began to affect her self-image. She saw herself not only as an operative but as a force to be reckoned with. The traits she had once admired in others, assertiveness, strategic thinking, and the ability to command respect, were now qualities she recognized in herself. This transformation was empowering but also brought with it a sense of unease. The more she embraced her role, the more she grappled with the implications of her changing identity. In private moments of reflection, Meera struggled to reconcile her newfound power with her true self. The skills and confidence she had developed as Arti Sharma were a source of pride, but they also created a disconnect from her former life. The shift in her self-perception was accompanied by a sense of disorientation as she navigated the blurred lines between her professional and personal identities. One evening, as she reviewed her progress and the impact of her actions, Meera realized the extent to which her undercover role had transformed her. The power she had gained and the control she had asserted were a testament to her growth. However, the realization also brought a deeper understanding of the cost of this transformation. The empowerment she felt was accompanied by a growing awareness of the sacrifices and challenges inherent in living a double life. As Meera Desai's involvement with the drug ring deepened, the shadows of doubt began to creep into her meticulously crafted world. Suspicion started to simmer within the organization, casting a dark cloud over her undercover mission and threatening to unravel the delicate balance she had maintained. The first signs of suspicion emerged subtly. Meera noticed that certain members of the drug ring, previously cordial and trusting, were now displaying a guarded demeanor. Whispers and covert glances became more frequent, and the air was thick with an unspoken tension. Her elevated role within the organization had brought her into closer contact with the inner circle, and with that proximity came heightened scrutiny. Rumors began to circulate about a potential mole within the ring, and the growing sense of paranoia was palpable. Meera's fears of being discovered became a constant undercurrent in her daily interactions. The anxiety of maintaining her cover was amplified by the growing suspicions around her. Each encounter with her colleagues was fraught with tension, and she found herself second-guessing every move and word. The fear of exposure was a relentless companion, and Meera's once confident demeanor began to waver as she grappled with the possibility of her secret being revealed. The growing doubts and suspicions led Meera to question her choices and identity. She found herself reflecting on the path she had taken and the sacrifices she had made. The mission that had once been driven by a sense of duty and purpose now seemed overshadowed by the personal cost. The lines between her role as Arti Sharma and her true self as Meera Desai became increasingly blurred, and the emotional toll of living a double life began to weigh heavily on her. In moments of solitude, Meera wrestled with her inner turmoil. The allure of her role within the drug ring and her complex relationship with Vikram Rao were increasingly at odds with her original motivations. The desires and ambitions she had once embraced now seemed entangled with a sense of moral ambiguity. Meera struggled to reconcile her personal desires with the overarching duty of her mission, and the internal conflict was both intense and disorienting. The blurring of the line between duty and desire became a central theme of Meera's internal struggle. The thrill of her role and the seductive power it offered were contrasted by the moral implications of her actions. Her relationship with Vikram, once a source of empowerment, now felt like a potential liability. The desires she felt for him and the power she wielded within the drug ring were increasingly at odds with the values she had held dear. One evening, while alone in her apartment, Meera reviewed the surveillance reports and intelligence she had gathered. The weight of her choices and the growing doubts about her future loomed large. The duality of her existence was more pronounced than ever, and the shadows of doubt cast a long and unsettling shadow over her life. She reflected on the extent to which her personal desires had become intertwined with her mission, and the realization brought a profound sense of unease. In the midst of this turmoil, Meera faced a critical decision. The growing suspicions within the drug ring demanded immediate action. She had to navigate the treacherous waters of paranoia and suspicion while preserving her cover and protecting her own safety. The risk of exposure was high, and the stakes were higher than ever. The decision she made would not only impact her mission but also shape her understanding of her own identity and values. As the drug ring's operations continued to expand, the stakes of Meera Desai's undercover mission were raised to unprecedented levels. A high-profile deal, one that could alter the balance of power in Mumbai's criminal underworld, was on the horizon. This deal promised to be the largest and most significant operation the drug ring had ever undertaken, and Meera's role in it became more crucial than ever. The deal involved a massive shipment of drugs intended for international distribution. The operation required meticulous planning, high-level coordination, and flawless execution. As Arti Sharma, Meera was entrusted with overseeing critical aspects of the deal, including liaising with suppliers, managing logistics, and ensuring that every detail was meticulously arranged. Her involvement in this high-stakes operation highlighted the trust and confidence the drug ring had placed in her, with her increased responsibilities came heightened visibility and scrutiny. Meera's every move was observed with keen interest by both her allies and rivals within the organization. The pressure to perform was immense, and the risk of failure was significant. The success of the deal was crucial not only for the drug ring's financial gain but also for maintaining its dominance and influence. Meera's role in the operation was pivotal, and any misstep could have disastrous consequences. The danger surrounding the deal escalated as the preparations unfolded. The scale of the operation attracted attention from rival gangs and law enforcement agencies, adding layers of complexity and risk. Meera was acutely aware of the heightened danger. The possibility of a raid or attack was a constant threat. Security measures were tightened, and the environment became increasingly tense. Every interaction and decision was fraught with the potential for disaster. As the day of the deal approached, Meera found herself on edge. The logistics of the operation were intricate, involving multiple parties and complex arrangements. Meera's role required her to navigate a web of alliances and rivalries, all while maintaining her cover and managing the growing suspicions within the drug ring. The stakes of her mission had never been higher, and the pressure to succeed weighed heavily on her. One evening, as Meera reviewed the final details of the operation in her dimly lit apartment, she received a disturbing message from an anonymous source. The message hinted at a possible betrayal within the drug ring and warned of an impending threat. The message was vague but unsettling, and Meera couldn't shake the feeling that the danger was closing in on her. The possibility of a double-cross or a setup added a new layer of anxiety to the already high-pressure situation. Despite the mounting fears, Meera knew she had to maintain her composure and focus on the task at hand. The success of the deal was critical not only for her undercover mission but also for her personal safety. She worked tirelessly to ensure that every aspect of the operation was flawlessly executed, coordinating with various parties and overseeing the complex logistics. Her efforts were driven by a sense of duty and determination, even as the danger loomed larger. On the day of the deal, Meera's role became a high-wire act of precision and vigilance. The operation unfolded with a tense and methodical approach. Meera was on the front lines, managing the flow of goods, overseeing security arrangements, and navigating the interactions between various factions. The environment was charged with anticipation, and the sense of danger was palpable. The culmination of the deal was a moment of high tension. As the final stages of the operation approached, Meera's heart raced with a mix of fear and excitement. The stakes had never been higher, and the potential for catastrophe was ever present. Every decision and action had the potential to make or break the success of the operation, and Meera's role was crucial in ensuring that the deal proceeded smoothly. In the midst of the high-stakes operation and escalating danger, Meera Desai's world took an unexpected turn with the arrival of a fellow undercover agent, Rajesh Meera. His presence introduced a new dynamic into Meera's already complex situation, and the formation of a partnership between them became a crucial aspect of navigating the perilous landscape of the drug ring. Rajesh Meera was introduced to Meera as a seasoned agent with a reputation for successfully infiltrating criminal organizations. His arrival was both a surprise and a relief, as it signaled an attempt by law enforcement to bolster their efforts in dismantling the drug ring. Rajesh was a man of few words, with a calm demeanor and a sharp, analytical mind. His experience and expertise made him an invaluable asset to the operation, and his presence brought a new layer of strategy to the mission. When Meera first met Rajesh, it was under the pretense of a high-profile meeting with the drug ring's inner circle. Rajesh, posing as a high-level consultant with a vested interest in the deal, seamlessly integrated into the operation. Despite their different roles and backgrounds, Meera and Rajesh quickly recognized the value of working together. Their shared goal of exposing the drug ring and ensuring the success of the operation forged an immediate and pragmatic bond. The partnership between Meera and Rajesh was characterized by a complex interplay of collaboration and mutual dependence. They were tasked with coordinating various aspects of the operation, from security to logistics, and their roles required constant communication and coordination. Rajesh's expertise complemented Meera's growing confidence and strategic acumen, creating a powerful synergy between them. As they worked together, Meera and Rajesh developed a professional rapport that was both effective and efficient. Their interactions were marked by a blend of respect and camaraderie, as they navigated the intricacies of their undercover roles. Rajesh's insights and support were instrumental in helping Meera manage the heightened risks and complexities of the operation. Despite their growing partnership, the challenge of trust and deception remained a constant concern. Both Meera and Rajesh were acutely aware of the delicate nature of their roles and the potential for betrayal. Trust was a scarce commodity in their world, and the need for secrecy and deception added layers of complexity to their interactions. Meera found herself grappling with her own reservations about trusting Rajesh. The stakes of the operation were high, and any lapse in trust could have dire consequences. Rajesh, for his part, was cautious in his dealings with Meera, aware of the potential risks of revealing too much too soon. Their partnership was built on a foundation of cautious optimism and a mutual understanding of the importance of their mission. In the midst of the high-pressure environment, Meera and Rajesh experienced moments of shared vulnerability that deepened their connection. The stress and danger of their undercover roles created situations where they could let down their guards and reveal their true selves. These moments of vulnerability became pivotal in solidifying their partnership. One evening, after a particularly tense day of negotiations and close calls, Meera and Rajesh found themselves alone in a quiet corner of a safe house. The weight of the operation and the constant danger had taken a toll on both of them. In this rare moment of respite, they shared their personal fears and concerns, allowing themselves to be more than just operatives. Their conversation revealed glimpses of their pasts, their motivations, and the sacrifices they had made for their respective missions. For Meera, this exchange was both cathartic and revealing. She saw Rajesh not just as a colleague but as someone who understood the unique challenges of their situation. The shared vulnerability created a sense of camaraderie and trust that transcended their professional roles. Similarly, Rajesh found solace in Meera's honesty and openness, appreciating her strength and resilience. As the stakes of Meera Desai's undercover mission continued to escalate, she found herself navigating the complex dynamics of power and desire. The high-profile deal was in full swing, and Meera decided to leverage her growing awareness of her own sexuality to gain further influence within the drug ring. The seductive game she played was both a strategic maneuver and a personal exploration, with far-reaching consequences. With her role in the drug ring solidified and her confidence at an all-time high, Meera began to use her sexuality as a tool to further her objectives. The drug lord, Vikram Rao, was known for his power and charisma, and Meera recognized that her allure could be a valuable asset in gaining his favor and influence. She crafted a persona that was both alluring and intriguing, carefully navigating the boundaries between professional engagement and personal seduction that in their interactions, Meera adopted a demeanor that was both confident and captivating. She used subtle, flirtatious gestures and provocative conversations to draw Vikram closer, while still maintaining an air of professionalism. Her ability to seamlessly blend seduction with strategic conversation allowed her to build a rapport with Vikram that went beyond mere business. The allure of her presence and the magnetic pull of her charisma played a significant role in shaping her influence within the drug ring. The use of her sexuality as a tool of manipulation brought about a series of consequences, both expected and unforeseen. On one hand, Meera's approach succeeded in strengthening her position within the organization. Vikram's increased interest and trust in her allowed her to gain valuable insights and access to critical operations. Her influence within the drug ring grew, and her ability to affect decisions and outcomes was amplified. However, the consequences of her actions also included a deepening emotional entanglement. The lines between professional strategy and personal involvement began to blur. Meera found herself grappling with the emotional complexities of her interactions with Vikram. The seductive game she played, while initially intended as a means to an end, became entangled with genuine feelings and desires. The emotional impact of her actions began to take a toll on her sense of self and her original motivations. The blend of power and desire that Meera experienced was both intoxicating and destabilizing. The thrill of wielding influence and control within the drug ring was matched by the allure of her burgeoning relationship with Vikram. The dynamic between them was charged with a potent mix of attraction and authority, creating an environment where personal desires and professional objectives were deeply intertwined. Meera's growing power within the organization, coupled with the intense attraction she felt for Vikram, created a heady mix of emotions. The power she wielded and the desires she felt were intricately connected, with each aspect feeding into the other. The intoxicating nature of their relationship added a new layer of complexity to Meera's mission, as she navigated the delicate balance between maintaining control and succumbing to her own desires. As Meera's interactions with Vikram continued, their connection deepened beyond the confines of their professional roles. The seductive game they played evolved into a more profound and personal relationship. Their conversations became more intimate, and their encounters took on a more emotional and passionate dimension. Vikram, once a distant figure of authority, became a significant and complicated presence in Meera's life. The deepening connection between Meera and Vikram was marked by moments of genuine affection and vulnerability. They shared experiences and insights that went beyond their roles within the drug ring. This emotional bond created a sense of intimacy that further complicated Meera's mission and her sense of identity. The relationship became a source of both strength and conflict, as Meera grappled with the implications of her involvement with Vikram. As the high-profile drug deal approached its climax, the pressure on Meera Desai reached a breaking point. The intensity of her undercover assignment, combined with the emotional and psychological strain of her dual life, began to unravel her composure. The breaking point came with a pivotal event that shook her confidence and forced her to confront the true cost of her choices. The final stages of the drug deal were marked by increased tension and scrutiny. The stakes had never been higher, and every decision and action was under intense scrutiny from both the drug ring and law enforcement. Meera's role was crucial in ensuring the operation's success, and the pressure to perform was overwhelming. The expectations from her handlers, the risk of exposure, and the complexities of her relationship with Vikram Rao created a volatile mix of stress and urgency. The intricate web of lies and deceit required Meera to constantly navigate a landscape of shifting alliances and hidden agendas. The danger of the operation, combined with the ever-present threat of betrayal, intensified the pressure she felt. The weight of her responsibilities, both as Arti Sharma and Meera Desai, became a heavy burden, and the strain of maintaining her cover and managing the operation took a significant toll on her mental and emotional well-being. The intense pressure began to manifest in Meera's emotional and psychological struggles. The duality of her existence created an internal conflict that was increasingly difficult to manage. Her interactions with Vikram Rao, which had initially been a source of empowerment, now felt like a source of emotional turmoil. The lines between her professional duties and personal desires were blurred, leading to a sense of confusion and distress. Meera's psychological state was marked by heightened anxiety, paranoia, and feelings of isolation. The constant fear of being discovered and the emotional weight of her relationship with Vikram took a toll on her mental health. She found herself grappling with a growing sense of disconnection from her true self and an overwhelming sense of guilt and regret. The breaking point arrived with a pivotal event that shattered Meera's sense of control and stability. During a critical phase of the operation, a security breach exposed her identity and role within the drug ring. The breach was the result of a carefully orchestrated plan by a rival faction within the organization, which sought to undermine Vikram's authority and disrupt the deal. The revelation of Meera's true identity led to a dramatic confrontation with Vikram. The once cordial relationship between them devolved into a heated and confrontational exchange. Vikram, feeling betrayed and manipulated, confronted Meera with a mix of anger and disbelief. The confrontation exposed the depth of her deception and the emotional cost of her actions. The breaking point was not just a professional crisis but a deeply personal one, as Meera faced the repercussions of her choices. In the aftermath of the confrontation and the fallout from the security breach, Meera was forced to confront the true cost of her choices. The emotional and psychological toll of her undercover role became starkly apparent. The relationships she had cultivated, the personal desires she had explored, and the professional risks she had taken all converged in a moment of profound realization. Meera came to understand that the price of her undercover mission was not just measured in professional terms but also in personal sacrifice. The emotional connection with Vikram, the psychological strain of living a double life, and the moral ambiguity of her actions were all part of a larger cost that she had to reckon with. The breaking point marked a moment of clarity where Meera recognized the full extent of the impact her choices had on her sense of self and her life. The intricate web of deceit that Meera Desai had been navigating finally unraveled with the ultimate betrayal. The trust within the drug ring shattered, and Meera found herself facing exposure in a dramatic and devastating turn of events. The betrayal came from an unexpected source, leading to a series of fallout and consequences that would alter the course of her mission and her life. The tension within the drug ring had been building for weeks, fueled by internal rivalries and suspicions. The high-profile deal that Meera had been instrumental in was approaching its final stages, and the stakes were higher than ever. Amid the mounting pressure, trust within the organization became increasingly fragile. Whispers of dissent and accusations of betrayal circulated, creating an atmosphere of paranoia and mistrust. As the operation reached its critical juncture, a critical piece of information leaked, exposing the fact that there was a mole within the organization. The revelation of the mole's identity caused a ripple of panic and anger among the members of the drug ring. The once cohesive operation was now fraught with suspicion and discord, with everyone questioning the loyalty of those around them. In the midst of this turmoil, Meera Desai found herself at the center of the storm. The breach in security and the subsequent suspicion fell on her, as her cover was compromised. The drug ring's leaders, including Vikram Rao, were convinced that there was a spy within their ranks, and Meera became the prime suspect. Her attempts to navigate the crisis and maintain her cover were in vain, as the mounting evidence pointed towards her. The threat of exposure became a harsh reality for Meera. She faced the possibility of being unmasked and arrested, which not only jeopardized her mission but also her safety. The drug ring's members, once allies, now viewed her with hostility and distrust. The very people she had worked with and manipulated were now closing in on her, making her position increasingly precarious. The betrayal that sealed Meera's fate came from an unexpected source. Rajesh Mehra, her fellow undercover agent and erstwhile ally, was revealed to be the person who had compromised her cover. The revelation was shocking, as Rajesh had been a trusted partner throughout the mission. His betrayal was driven by his own motivations and a deep-seated vendetta against the drug ring, which led him to undermine Meera's efforts and expose her. Rajesh's betrayal was a calculated move designed to further his own agenda, but it had devastating consequences for Meera. The trust that had developed between them was shattered, and Meera was left reeling from the impact of his actions. The betrayal not only exposed her identity but also eroded the last vestiges of support and security she had within the drug ring. The fallout from the betrayal was immediate and severe. Meera was forced into a desperate situation, with her cover blown and her safety in jeopardy. The drug ring's leaders, including Vikram Rao, took drastic measures to deal with the perceived threat. Meera's life was in danger, and she had to navigate a treacherous path to escape the immediate threat of violence. The consequences of Rajesh's betrayal extended beyond the immediate danger. The collapse of trust within the drug ring had far-reaching effects, including the disruption of the high-profile deal and the fragmentation of the organization. Meera's role in the operation was rendered moot, and the mission's objectives were left in disarray. The intricate plans and strategies she had developed were now in jeopardy, and the impact of the betrayal reverberated through every aspect of the operation. For Meera, the ultimate betrayal represented a profound personal and professional crisis. The loss of trust, the exposure of her identity, and the fallout from Rajesh's actions forced her to confront the harsh realities of her mission. As she faced the consequences of the betrayal and sought to navigate the perilous aftermath, Meera was left to reckon with the full implications of her choices and the cost of her undercover role. As the chaos of the betrayal and exposure reached its peak, Meera Desai found herself facing a moment of profound reckoning. The convergence of her fears, insecurities, and the crucial decisions about her future culminated in a dramatic showdown with the drug lord. This chapter marked the climax of her journey toward empowerment, as she confronted the ultimate challenges and made pivotal choices that would define her path forward. In the aftermath of the betrayal and exposure, Meera was forced to confront her deepest fears and insecurities. The pressure of the undercover assignment, the emotional turmoil of her relationship with Vikram Rao, and the crushing weight of Rajesh Mehra's betrayal had left her feeling vulnerable and disoriented. She faced the realization that her mission, her identity, and her sense of self were in jeopardy. Meera took time to reflect on her journey and the personal transformation she had undergone. She grappled with feelings of guilt, self-doubt, and fear of failure. The confrontation with her own insecurities was both painful and illuminating, as she sought to reconcile her past actions with her current reality. This introspective moment was crucial in understanding her true motivations and desires, and in finding the strength to face the challenges ahead. As Meera faced the aftermath of the betrayal and the imminent threat from the drug ring, she was confronted with a crucial decision about her future. The high-profile deal had collapsed, and the drug ring's leaders, including Vikram Rao, were determined to seek retribution for the perceived betrayal. Meera had to decide whether to continue her role as an undercover operative or to abandon the mission and seek a different path. The decision was fraught with complexity. Continuing her undercover role meant facing the risk of further exposure and danger, but it also offered the possibility of bringing down the drug ring and achieving justice. On the other hand, abandoning the mission would allow her to escape the immediate threat but would leave her with unresolved issues and a sense of failure. Meera weighed her options carefully, considering the impact of her decision on her own future and the broader implications for her mission. The crucial decision led to a dramatic showdown with Vikram Rao, the drug lord whose trust Meera had once manipulated. The confrontation was intense and fraught with high stakes. Vikram, enraged by the betrayal and the collapse of the deal, sought to exact his revenge and settle scores with Meera. In a high-tension face-off, Meera and Vikram engaged in a battle of wits and wills. The showdown took place in a secluded warehouse, where the remnants of the drug ring's operation were being dismantled. The confrontation was not only a physical battle but also a clash of ideologies and emotions. Vikram's rage and Meera's determination created a charged atmosphere, and the encounter forced both of them to confront their deepest fears and motivations. The showdown with Vikram marked the climax of Meera's journey toward empowerment. The battle represented not just a fight for survival but also a culmination of her personal transformation. Throughout the confrontation, Meera demonstrated the strength and resilience she had developed over the course of her mission. Her ability to confront her fears, make critical decisions, and stand up to the drug lord showcased her growth and empowerment. In the final moments of the confrontation, Meera's actions were a testament to her newfound confidence and resolve. She utilized her skills, intelligence, and emotional strength to turn the tide in her favor. The resolution of the showdown was both a personal and professional triumph, as Meera emerged from the confrontation with a renewed sense of purpose and empowerment. With the dramatic showdown behind her, Meera Desai faced the final chapter of her undercover mission. The truth was revealed, the drug ring's downfall was imminent, and Meera's role in bringing justice came into sharp focus. This chapter explores the resolution of her mission, the impact on her personal life, and her journey to reclaim her identity. The aftermath of the confrontation with Vikram Rao led to a series of events that culminated in the drug ring's downfall. With Vikram's operations in disarray and his power significantly diminished, law enforcement agencies moved in to dismantle the remaining elements of the drug network. The intelligence gathered by Meera, coupled with the fallout from the internal betrayals, provided critical evidence that enabled a coordinated crackdown on the organization. The drug ring's collapse was swift and decisive. Key members were arrested, and their operations were dismantled. The fallout from the betrayal and the high-profile nature of the case brought the drug ring's activities to the forefront, leading to a significant impact on the criminal underworld. The success of the operation was a testament to the risks and sacrifices made by those involved, including Meera. Meera's role in the downfall of the drug ring was pivotal. Her undercover work had provided invaluable insights and led to the exposure of critical information. Despite the personal cost and the challenges she faced, her contributions were instrumental in achieving justice. Her bravery and dedication were recognized by her superiors and colleagues, highlighting the significant impact of her efforts. In the aftermath of the operation, Meera was hailed as a hero within the law enforcement community. Her role in infiltrating the drug ring, navigating complex dynamics, and ultimately bringing down the organization was acknowledged and celebrated. Meera's actions not only contributed to the dismantling of a major criminal network but also served as a powerful example of courage and commitment. The success of the mission came with profound personal consequences for Meera. The intense experiences of the undercover operation, the emotional turmoil of her relationship with Vikram, and the betrayal she faced left an indelible mark on her life. The impact on her personal relationships, her mental health, and her sense of self was significant. Meera's journey had transformed her in many ways, but it also created challenges in reconciling her undercover persona with her true self. The experience had altered her outlook on life and her relationships, leading to a period of adjustment and reflection. Meera had to navigate the complexities of returning to her normal life while grappling with the personal costs of her actions and the changes she had undergone. The final step in Meera's journey was reclaiming her identity. After the drug ring's downfall and the resolution of the mission, Meera faced the task of reasserting her true self. The process involved coming to terms with her experiences, acknowledging the growth and empowerment she had achieved, and finding a way to integrate her newfound confidence and strength into her everyday life. Meera embarked on a journey of self-discovery and healing, working to reconnect with her true identity and values. She sought support from friends and colleagues, and she engaged in activities that helped her reclaim a sense of normalcy and balance. The process of reclaiming her identity was both a personal and symbolic act, representing a return to her authentic self and a celebration of her resilience and growth. As the dust settled from the drug ring's downfall and Meera Desai's mission came to a close, she found herself navigating the complex aftermath of her choices. This chapter delves into the consequences of her actions, her reflections on personal transformation, the challenges of returning to a normal life, and the ongoing struggles with her dual identity. The resolution of the undercover operation brought both accolades and consequences for Meera. While she was celebrated for her role in dismantling a major criminal network, the personal cost of her decisions was profound. The emotional and psychological toll of her undercover work, coupled with the betrayal and conflict she experienced, left Meera grappling with a range of consequences. Meera faced the repercussions of her actions on multiple fronts. The strain on her personal relationships, the impact on her mental health, and the need to reconcile her undercover experiences with her real life were significant challenges. The consequences of her choices extended beyond the mission itself, affecting her sense of self and her interactions with others. Amidst the challenges, Meera took time to reflect on her transformation throughout the mission. Her journey from a timid constable to a confident and empowered individual was a profound personal evolution. The experiences she encountered, the risks she took, and the growth she achieved were all part of a transformative process that reshaped her identity. Meera's reflections revealed a deep understanding of her own strength and resilience. She acknowledged the courage it took to confront her fears, navigate the complexities of undercover work, and ultimately achieve her mission's objectives. Her transformation was marked by a newfound sense of empowerment and self-awareness, highlighting the significance of her journey returning to normal life after the intensity of the undercover mission proved to be a formidable challenge for Meera. The transition from the high-stakes world of espionage and criminal investigations to the routine of everyday life was not seamless. Meera struggled to re-establish a sense of normalcy and balance. As the impact of her experiences lingered, the adjustment period involved reconnecting with her old life, including her family, friends, and professional responsibilities. Meera faced difficulties in reintegrating into her previous roles and routines, as the psychological and emotional scars of her mission persisted. The process of reclaiming her normal life required patience, support, and self-compassion. One of the most profound challenges Meera faced was grappling with her dual identity. The distinction between her undercover persona, Arti Sharma, and her true self, Meera Desai, became increasingly blurred. The lines between her professional role and personal identity had been intricately intertwined, leading to ongoing struggles with self-perception and authenticity. Meera's dual identity created internal conflict and confusion. She had to navigate the tension between the empowered persona she had developed during the mission and her genuine self. The process of reconciling these two aspects of her identity was essential for her healing and personal growth. Meera sought to integrate the strengths and insights gained from her undercover work with her true self, striving for a harmonious balance. With the mission behind her and the aftermath of her choices settling into a new routine, Meera Desai embarked on a new chapter in her life. Chapter 18 explores how she embraces her empowered self, reconnects with her real life, navigates changes in her relationships, and discovers a renewed sense of purpose. As Meera moved forward, she began to embrace the empowered self she had developed throughout her undercover mission. The confidence, resilience, and strength she had cultivated were integral parts of her new identity. Meera took deliberate steps to integrate these qualities into her everyday life, recognizing that her experiences had transformed her in profound ways. She started by setting new personal and professional goals that reflected her growth. Embracing her empowered self involved taking on challenges with a newfound sense of assurance and leadership. Meera also sought out opportunities for continued personal development, including pursuing interests and skills that had been overshadowed during her undercover work. Returning to her real life required Meera to make intentional efforts to reconnect with her past. She re-established connections with family, friends, and colleagues, and sought to mend relationships that had been strained or neglected during her mission. The process of reconnecting was both fulfilling and challenging, as she navigated the adjustments needed to reintegrate into her previous social and professional circles. Meera worked on rebuilding trust and communication with those closest to her, including her family and friends who had supported her throughout the ordeal. The reconnection process involved addressing any lingering issues and sharing her experiences in a way that fostered understanding and healing. The impact of Meera's undercover mission had left its mark on her relationships. Navigating the changes required sensitivity and effort as she adjusted to new dynamics. Friends and family had seen her through the highs and lows of her journey, and the changes in her personal and professional life were evident. Meera engaged in open and honest conversations with those around her, addressing any misunderstandings or concerns. She worked to balance the expectations of others with her own sense of self and personal growth. The process of navigating these changes was an essential part of her transition, helping her establish a stable foundation for her new beginning. With the mission concluded and her real life re-established, Meera discovered a renewed sense of purpose. The experiences and insights gained from her undercover work inspired her to pursue new goals and contribute meaningfully to her community. She felt a deep sense of commitment to using her experiences for positive impact, whether through advocacy, mentorship, or involvement in causes she was passionate about. Meera's renewed sense of purpose guided her actions and decisions, providing direction and motivation as she moved forward. She embraced opportunities to make a difference, leveraging her skills and knowledge to support others and contribute to the greater good. The sense of fulfillment and purpose she found was a testament to her growth and transformation throughout the mission. As Meera Desai settled into her new life, she found herself grappling with the deeper implications of her journey. Chapter 19 explores the sacrifices she made, the lasting impact on her psyche, the challenges of living with her newfound power, and the lingering question of whether it was all worth it. The road to empowerment was not without its costs. Meera reflected on the sacrifices she had made throughout her undercover mission and beyond. The intense demands of her role had required her to forsake personal comfort, safety, and in many ways, her personal identity. She had sacrificed time with loved ones, missed significant life events, and endured emotional and psychological strain. The road to empowerment was not without its costs. Meera reflected on the sacrifices she had made throughout her undercover mission and beyond. The intense demands of her role required her to forego personal comfort, safety, and, in many ways, her own identity. Meera's dedication to her mission had strained her relationships with family and friends. The emotional distance and secrecy she maintained had left her isolated from those who cared about her. The support system she once relied on had been tested, and rebuilding these connections proved challenging. The psychological toll of living undercover, navigating the treacherous world of crime, and confronting her own fears had left deep scars. Meera had endured significant stress, anxiety, and moments of self-doubt, which impacted her mental health long after the mission ended. Meera's role in the undercover operation exposed her to dangerous situations that jeopardized her safety. The risks she faced were not just physical but also reputational, as her actions had implications for her career and future opportunities. The impact of her experiences extended far beyond the immediate aftermath of the mission. Meera struggled with the psychological effects of her journey, which included lingering anxiety, trust issues, and a heightened sense of vigilance. The intensity of the undercover work had shaped her worldview, leaving her with a complex and often challenging perspective on life. Meera's interactions with the drug ring and the personal betrayals she experienced left emotional scars. She had to navigate a labyrinth of conflicting emotions, including guilt, betrayal, and the weight of her actions. The residue of these experiences influenced her emotional state and self-perception. The blending of her undercover persona with her true self created ongoing internal conflict. Meera struggled to reconcile the empowered, confident individual she had become with the more timid, ordinary person she had been before the mission. This conflict impacted her sense of self and her interactions with others. Living with her newfound power came with its own set of challenges. Meera had achieved a level of empowerment that fundamentally changed her approach to life, but integrating this power into her daily existence was not straightforward. While Meera had developed a strong sense of self during the mission, sustaining this confidence in her everyday life was challenging. The transition from high-stakes situations to routine activities required her to continuously remind herself of her capabilities and strengths. Meera had to navigate the balance between her newfound empowerment and the vulnerability she still felt. The duality of being both powerful and sensitive created a complex dynamic in her personal and professional interactions. As Meera assessed the cost of her journey, she grappled with the fundamental question: was it all worth it? The sacrifices, the psychological impact, and the challenges of living with her newfound power all led her to reflect on the value of her experiences. Meera considered the personal growth and empowerment she had achieved. Despite the hardships, she found fulfillment in the strength she had developed and the positive impact she had made. The sense of accomplishment and the ability to make a difference were significant aspects of her reflection. Meera also weighed the regrets and doubts she harbored. The impact on her relationships, her mental health, and the internal conflicts she faced were sources of contemplation. She acknowledged that while her journey had led to significant personal development, it had also come with a price. Ultimately, Meera considered her legacy and the future ahead. She evaluated the ways in which her experiences had shaped her and how she could use her newfound power for meaningful change. The decision to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose was guided by her reflections on the value and cost of her journey. As Meera Desai reached the final chapter of her journey, she embarked on the last steps toward self-acceptance and balance. Chapter 20 explores how she finds equilibrium in her life, acknowledges her strengths and weaknesses, and concludes her journey of empowerment with a renewed sense of freedom and self-fulfillment. In the wake of her transformative experiences, Meera dedicated herself to the process of self-acceptance. This involved coming to terms with her past choices, embracing the person she had become, and integrating her experiences into a coherent sense of self. Meera took deliberate actions to fully embrace her empowered self while accepting the vulnerabilities and complexities that came with it. She acknowledged that her journey had made her stronger, but also that it had left its mark. This acceptance was crucial for her emotional healing and personal growth. Part of her self-acceptance involved forgiving herself for any perceived mistakes or regrets. Meera engaged in practices of self-compassion and reflection, allowing herself to heal from the emotional scars of her mission. This process of forgiveness was vital for her sense of peace and self-worth. Achieving balance was essential for Meera as she transitioned into her new life. She worked on integrating the lessons from her mission into her daily routine, ensuring that her newfound strength did not overshadow other aspects of her well-being. Meera focused on creating a healthy work-life balance. She found ways to manage her professional responsibilities while also dedicating time to personal interests, relationships, and self-care. This balance was key to maintaining her overall well-being and happiness. Meera incorporated practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and regular exercise into her routine. These practices helped her stay grounded and centered, allowing her to navigate life's challenges with a sense of calm and clarity. A critical aspect of Meera's journey was recognizing both her strengths and weaknesses. She understood that true empowerment involved a balanced view of oneself, encompassing both achievements and areas for growth. Meera took time to celebrate her accomplishments and the positive impact she had made. She recognized her courage, resilience, and the personal growth she had achieved, allowing herself to take pride in her journey. Meera also confronted areas where she felt vulnerable or lacking. Acknowledging these weaknesses was part of her commitment to personal growth. She sought support and resources to address these areas, viewing them as opportunities for further development. As Meera reached the conclusion of her journey, she reflected on the transformation she had undergone and the new direction her life was taking. The chapter marked a moment of closure and celebration for her empowered self. Meera was ready to embrace the next phase of her life with a sense of purpose and confidence. The empowerment she had gained would guide her future endeavors, allowing her to approach new challenges with a grounded sense of self. The journey of empowerment concluded with Meera experiencing a profound sense of freedom. She had navigated the complexities of her mission, reconciled her dual identity, and emerged with a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. Meera looked to the future with optimism and excitement. The lessons learned from her journey had equipped her to face new opportunities with resilience and courage. The chapter closed with a sense of closure and anticipation for the possibilities ahead.